Welcome. My name is Asanda, and this is the SMAC channel where we defy all society's norms by keeping it real. Welcome to the 8th episode of Discussions That Grow the Mind, and today we have a special guest. And please introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Musa Sono.
I brought Musa today because I think it's important to have friends that grow your mind, that challenge you, and that you guys have like almost the same mission in life. And I just wanted to bring you guys into kind of our world and the discussions that we have. Can you just tell us about yourself, what you do, who you are, what your narrative is as a person, and yeah.
Yo, what am I? What do I do?
Okay. What do you do?
My name is Musa Sono. I am the co-founder of Pastures Bakery, and I am also the founder and president of The Dream. Now, Pastures Bakery bakes, and The Dream is an organization that I started to uplift young people in our society, to combat things like unemployment, to encourage the youth to take over, understand, to change the narrative. The narrative now for the youth, it's sex, it's alcohol, it's parties, and recklessness. But we are saying that the youth of now, we can make an economic change. Yeah, we can make an economic change in our society.
So Musa, can you tell us why you do what you do?
The reason why I do what I do, well, I'll start off with the bakery. The bakery was founded in 2020, right? And 2020 was a very hard time for everyone. I'm guessing we can all relate. Everything went down. The taxi business went down. There were no people. People were not going to work. It was hard. And then my mother was like, you know what? Let me bake school buns. Then she baked school buns and she sold to people. And then we saw that there was a market, right? And then I started baking scones. She taught me how to bake scones. I'm very grateful for her. So I started baking scones. This was around I was doing my grade 10, 16, yeah. I started baking scones. Started baking. And then that's when the bakery was founded, actually. And then we started, I dropped out of school.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I dropped out of school, and then I had to do online schooling. I'd start baking at 8, right? Until 12 or 1 o'clock, right? And then I do catch-up sessions for my online schoolwork until like 7, 8, and then I sleep, right? The next day, I wake up at 4, I take the scones and I drop them off to the people who had to sell at the time. So we had people selling for us. I just baked, went to school, baked, went to school. In grade 11, I went back to traditional schooling. Even then, guys, it was so hard when I went back to traditional school because now we introduced bread into the bakery. It's a lot more work. Now I had to wake up at 2 in the morning. I remember when we just started baking bread. Like 4 or 5, I would wake up and I wouldn't wake up because I was already awake, I was waking. So I would just go and get into the shower and then go to school. Some days I wouldn't go because I was tired. Things didn't go well. End of 2023, we stopped. We had to stop baking because of load shedding and stuff like that. Stuff that affected us. Early 2024, my mother comes to me. She's like, "Have you found a school yet?" I was not really planning on going to varsity, but yeah, I was not planning on going to varsity. And then she was like, "Don't you want to go to Monash?" I understood. And then I'm like to her, "Ma, how are you going to pay for that? Like, I know the financials that are going on at home, you understand? And I am well aware of the fact that I don't think we'll be able to afford that, understand?" She's like, "You know what? I'll pray about it." Right? And then my father stood up and said, hey, I'm gonna go and sell scones for you, right? The robots. That's what he said. He said, I'm gonna sell 45. I can sell 45, that's 900 a day, and that's 18,000 a month. But I was not okay with that, you know. It didn't sit right with me because such an old man going to do such a thing is no. I don't like it. So I went and joined him. We started working together, and then now it became a father-son thing, the robotini. He started, in fact, he continued going to that place, even now. He continues going to that place, not because he wants the money. It's because he's built a relationship with those people. You know, when you're in the street and you greet people every day and you smile at them, you know, we built those relationships, you know. And then came upon the fact that we should increase the way we sell.
The numbers.
Right? We should increase the numbers.
Grow the operation.
Yeah. And we were like, okay guys, if we can sell 25 packets of scones at 20 rand, right? That's 100 packets of scones per day. Right? And 100 times 20 is how much? It's 2,000.
2,000.
Right, it's 2,000. 2,000 times 5 is how much? It's 10,000. Right. So you have 10,000 in 5 days, so I can pay my school fees in 5 days and still pay these guys during the month. I was like, no, let's do it. And my mother always had a dream of opening a shop. We'll be announcing the grand launch soon. Asanda will post it on social platforms.
Yeah.
During my schooling, during my high school, I used to come to school late sometimes, and teachers would ask me, why are you so late? And I'm like, because in grade 12 actually, when the bakery started operating again, before it fell, I used to sell at the robots, then go to school, wearing school uniform, right? And then so I would get there late sometimes, and teacher, why are you so late? And I'm like,
You don't know.
ma'am, you know what? I'm working this hard so that I can create employment for my classmates after they finish your class. And they laughed.
Big shout out to your grade 11A.
Yeah,
grade
well,
11C.
shout out, guys. Here I am. Your boss is here. You know. Don't forget to study, and yeah, man. Wear proper school uniform because that's what I require of you when you come to work. And yeah, shout out.
Today, Baba.
And they laughed. And that was okay because today I can proudly hire them and say what I put myself to in high school. Now it is actually happening. The power of consistency and persistence. Right. And then you spoke about the dream. The dream.
Why do you do the dream?
Why do I do the dream? I want to change lives. It's because of purpose. You know? Who are you? Where are you from? What are you here to do? And that's how you find it. Understand? But it all stems from who are you? The Dream is an organization that wants to help the youth find themselves. Understand? Because many people are living a purposeless life. Understand? I am a very observant person, and I looked on to the older generation and how they did things, you know. Age 25 or 28, and then they like, 30, my parents even 40, in their 40s, they start saying, no man, this is how we should have lived. You know, if we had done this, if we had done this. And
They're
I
only
look
finding their purposes now. They're only asking those questions now.
Do you know what's the most important thing in the world, Asanda? Right? Other than your faith, right? The most important thing you need to preserve as a person is time. Life is a race against time. Because even if you decide not to wake up tomorrow and to sleep and not to work, time is still moving.
It's still going.
You understand? You're not wasting anyone else's time, but your time. You understand? So going back to the dream, I want people to know who they are. Secondly, I want to try and fix the society in this manner. I hate the gender-based violence that's happening in our society. How it's so
Normalized.
It's so normalized.
And
like
rape culture.
Rape culture. Men are no longer protecting men are absent in families. Men are the perpetrators in most rape crimes. I'm not saying men don't get raped. And we have so many rehabs for girls,
women's centers, women and children, but no one is attending to the problem.
What about the problem at hand? It's almost like mopping while the tap is still running. Why don't we close the tap first and we start mopping? Why don't we fix the perpetrator before the rape crime actually happens? Understand? Because this thing stems from somewhere. And as young men, there are certain things that we normalize that are not supposed to be normalized. Things like leaning into your feelings, doing things how you feel. That's a bad thing, because as a man, you need to be able to regulate your feelings, right? You need to be able to, say, okay, right now I'm angry, but in my anger, I'll retain myself because I'm strong enough to do so. You understand? That's where strength is. Now, we are breeding a generation of violent men, men are killing each other, entitled men, things like that. Men do not know who they are anymore. Who are you as a man? You hear out, it's 50-50, right? I don't agree with that. I feel like that's a wrong culture, right? Because you cannot, it's showing that men are losing their pride as men. You cannot, as a man, uti 50-50. No, that's wrong. And not? You know why? I'll tell you why.
See, this is where we debate, guys.
Yeah, this is where we debate. But this is why. I'm not saying, and I'm not those guys who say women shouldn't work or whatsoever. But personally, I prefer my woman not to work, right? Because I'm working this hard so that she can sit home. And then if she wants to work, she can work, but she must not work because she wants to work. And I'll tell you why. It's because I grew up in a family where both my father and mother were working, right? And you would see there were times where my mother would share the financial strain with my father, and she would cry, and because that's how women deal with things sometimes. They just cry and then they come back. You understand? Yeah. So I grew up seeing that and I hated it when she cried. So I vowed to myself that I'll never ever make another woman feel the pain, of having to stress about the house, understand? I don't want that to happen. So I do not want my wife to work because she has to work. I want her to work because she wants to work. Understand? So I want to limit stress. Do you still disagree with me?
Okay, I agree. I believe innately as like a man, you want to, like, it's fulfilling for you to take care of
fulfillment. Yes, that's part of the purpose of being a man. Now, I'm a religious person. I read the Bible a lot, and the Bible is very informative about a man's role. It says you need to provide and protect, right? And that is part of it. Says Ephesians says, men, love your women or your wives as Christ loved the church. What did Christ do for the church? Christ gave for the church, What did Christ do for the church? He died for the church. Sometimes I have conversations with young men out here, and I'm like, would you die for your wife? It's like, no ways. And I'm like, ooh.
Then why Usha Degne?
You have to be prepared to die for your family. You need to be prepared to sacrifice your life for their salvation, for their well-being. And so that's the description of a man's duty in the Bible. And so I take that very personal, and I make sure that I want to do that because it fulfills me. There was one day ngangena endlini ngiphethe ushukela and some things this was short endlini and flowers for my mom, right? And they were sitting in the sitting room in Anobaba, and when I went there and I came there and they saw me and she cried. It was so fulfilling, to actually provide. It felt good as a young man. I feel like it's a healthy thing when we fight to provide for our families, whatever it may take.
I think, okay, back to where I was disagreeing. I disagree with the construct. People make it seem as if it means as a man you are supposed to, you are made to you, like there's no other way of living, right? I don't agree with the construct that women are supposed to sit at home, women are supposed to submit, there's no supposed to, but I do agree with the fact that as a girl, as a man, as it's more fulfilling for me as a girl when I can nurture something and see it grow. For you, it may be more fulfilling for you to take care and to provide because you feel like that pride is restored. And for me, it's like when I nurture something and I see it grow, like whatever that may mean, like it doesn't work for me if it's like a definite rule that you are supposed to provide and I'm supposed to stay at home. Because for me, She Is Power is me nurturing and providing. I'm nurturing the people that I speak to, I'm helping them grow, I'm growing their perspectives. For me, the social media thing and Mac Media is me nurturing a business and growing it and bringing more leads and bringing more business. It's nurturing. So I work, yes, but I'm still feeling fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I'm
different.
saying?
You see,
Exactly.
but I feel like we're saying the same thing. You know, it's all about stems from the same question again. Who are you? You know, who are you? What are you born to do? You know. But going back to the dream, yes, we do that. I also equip men with means to actually provide for their families. So we don't just talk about the problem. Yeah, the problem is men don't provide for their families. The problem is men don't protect women anymore. But what are we doing?
There needs to be a solution.
Exactly. We encourage everyone, in fact, that is youth, to come and join and learn how to provide for yourselves. You know, if anyone is going to change our society, it's us.
The youth.
The youth. We can mold the society that we want, and I feel like there's so much power if the youth can just come together and be like, you know what, guys, we see the corruption that's happening in parliament, right? We see the homelessness that is happening. We see the drug abuse. We see the, the killings, the violence. If we can come together and say, no, we are changing this. We are going to change the narrative. Asanda, the youth of 1976 changed the course of apartheid. In fact, they changed the course that their mothers and fathers fought for before. You understand? They are our parents now. We stem from that. Do you understand the power in which we have? They draw world media to look at South Africa, the youth, because they were united. And I believe we can do the same thing. I've said in my videos, we've gained political freedom as a people, but we haven't gained economic freedom.
That's the thing. That's the reason I have this channel, because like I say in all my videos, if you're a constant watcher, I say social media is flooded with useless information. There's so much useless things. All these, have you seen the videos where like they do a smash or pass and then you stand in a row, kiss or what, and I'm like, bro, you guys are wasting time.
And it shows that our youth doesn't respect time.
It doesn't.
Because if I can sit at home and watch that stuff, what is it?
And my thing is, Naloma podcast, 15,000. Nobody's speaking about real issues. Nobody's
things
speaking
that can
about
change our
solving.
society.
Nobody is speaking about politics, the economic state of our country, the emotional state, how we're dealing with things as the youth. Like, there's not a lot of value, and it frustrates me.
We want to change that. Even the people that are watching here, you're a smart person because you're watching things that is going to build you as a person.
Yes.
Man.
Okay, so next I wanted to speak about, I grew up fully in the suburbs. I lived eKasi like 2 years of my life, I'm sure, but you had the experience of both, right?
Yeah.
What can you say about the experience of growing up eKasi versus the suburbs and the opportunities that we're exposed to as kids?
eKasi, I was born in Dobsonville. I'm from Dobsonville, born and bred there. Dobsonville, Iterling Clinic. There came a time when I was like in grade 3, 4, we moved. My parents moved. My parents and I moved to Princess Rodipot. Yeah, Pima Fleeting, yeah, it was a high standard for me because I'm like Pumile gas, stuff like that. Then not soon after that, we were homeless again. So this Tlalago because our old house at Dobsonville was preoccupied. So that as well, those are one of the things that make me want to work hard. You understand? Because there are situations that I do not want to find myself in. But I cannot say Montano Kurashupegi. Get me, we were displaced with my family, but I can't say I was Kurashupegi because every day, you understand? So I feel like it's important for me to say that. Oh, I also got the privilege of going to a private school when we moved to the side.
Which is where we met?
Not actually, but yeah.
I met you at school.
No, we didn't meet at school.
Where?
We met here.
No, I met you. I remember you were coming down the stairs, grade 6.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Anyway, continue.
So I started going to a private school, and a private school was a totally different experience for me. Like, mina ngijwayele ukuthi would speak isiZulu, would speak Sesotho, Tsotsitaal, as kids, like esikolweni break time. Isilungu sikhuluma uthisha kuphela, yabo. So we didn't have much time to practice English, yabo, nasekhaya. So I came here and I struggled with language barrier, and I feel like Maragon played a very big role in boosting my confidence as a person. When we would do speeches and things like these, or prepared reading, you read a book, and I would struggle with vocabulary to, pronounce these words or speak properly. Even my accent was a bit,
shaky.
And they would laugh, right? And I would feel bad until I got to a point where I laughed with them. Understand? I laughed with them, and I told myself I'm gonna keep this accent. Because I do not want to deny who I am or apologize for who I am and change to sound like someone else. So I'm gonna sound like me. If you don't like it, it's fumaguyo. So that's why I learned to embrace myself. Right? I didn't have a good body at the time. Also learned to embrace that. And many people do not understand, Wuti. In order for you to change something, you need to admit it.
That's so true.
If you want to tell yourself that you want to lose weight, you need to admit to yourself, yes, I'm fat, right? But I'm still beautiful. I'm still handsome. I'm going to, I'm going to change. The important thing is to change, understand? And that's where I actually started finding myself with, okay, I'm being content with who I am. And I feel like that's why my journey might have developed quicker than many of my peers, because I started
introspecting.
Yeah, like I would hang around people who actually spoke English. Like there was this other guy, I'm from Alex.
Yeah. What's his name?
Lindo.
I don't know.
I forgot. Wherever you are, I hope you watch this video. I'm gonna text me. This guy was one of the only guys that spoke Zulu, because black kids
and he didn't want
black kids they don't speak their African languages. So and I also hate that, but that's a topic for another day.
Anyways, I just want to say, guys, you know how it feels like being a coconut who can't speak isiZulu? It's so embarrassing. Like you feel, I don't even want to go into it, but it's like it's a deep insecurity. If I couldn't speak isiZulu.
And it's sad, because it goes again to the fact, or to the question, who are you? I feel proud of the fact that I'm African. I'm accepting the fact that I'm an African. We see many Africans today denying who they are. Africans are the ones that bleach their skin. Africans are the only ones that apologize for who they are. You understand? We do not embrace who we are. And part of embracing who you are is, of course, learning how to know your language, even if it's not the language they speak at your house, but any African language. Understand? Then you feel proud of being an African.
I think also I want to speak about like my experience, having, obviously I'm eKasi, but I have family abahlupekayo nabo, and I experienced the difference between the average white and the average black child in South Africa.
Oh, right? Yeah, that. I actually didn't get it. So,
like, I would see, like, okay, let's say I go home, I visit family. You see in Tlupego, I mean, my family is well off, but we're not as well off as the white counterparts that I would come across at school. And seeing people go overseas and seeing people have farms, seeing people work for their parents' companies, seeing people like just have an overwhelming amount of money at school, your carer, and it's like that was my first introduction into the inequality that we have in this country, and then comparing it to, you know, the family members that I have, abakhulele eKasi, or people that I interact with eKasi, seeing how different the dreams are. Like if you speak to your classmates in school, their dream is to open up their own company, to be a boss, and to be what. Whereas if you go back eKasi and talk about what they want to do, you know, the dreams are like small, and I don't think it's necessarily their fault. It's just you're not exposed to what is possible, and you're not exposed to the fact that if you want to open up your own company, it's possible and it's real, and it's a real thing that can happen.
And that's it. And that's what you and I believe, and the rest of the youth are meant to do. Understand? Is to bring exposure to the people of Soweto or any township for that matter. Now, actually, you spoke about important comparison between the township and the suburbs. So, for me, the culture ngapha eMarathon was different because ngiphuma ey'kolweni nge-civis. Gcoka ama-DMD, gcoka amakhavela, gcoka nongathi uyabheka kini akunasinkwa mara ukhalela umama wakho because ufuna i-DMD. Ngenkathi zethu sase-primary vele e-public laphana bokuney'khothane abantu bafike badabula imali, amaklipa, bathela ama-ultramel, kunzima nje. And as a kid, it looks cool to you, you understand? And that's one thing about culture and exposure, because I felt now I was drawn to that. You understand? It was that culture that was introduced to us in primary school for then you go to private school, grade 6, but I'm 3 years behind. Hey.
Mom, they tried to take me like they wanted to take me out grade back. Slow.
The culture was different this side, Sandra. You see this day, both Tolu Ruben, a white boy who lives in a 3 million rent house. I took you short, Namapata. As Patel in Epic.
How?
I got Kazumu. So,
Madam, Oban petty iPhone 50, what? Yay, Maga keep you wallet dog things, Captain 100 and what? How?
Exactly. And then who you find because that's the psychology, or that's the box that we shoved, or the exposure that we found as black people within. In order for me to validate myself, right, I need to drive a Mercedes-Benz.
Need the material things.
And that also goes back to who you are. You know? A lot of people run away from who they are, or do not want to face the question who they are, and rather choose to be someone else. We see it with the clothes we wear. You know, you don't wear yourself. You wear Louis Vuitton. You know, because he represents something you wanna be, but you don't look at who you are.
Oh, that's deep.
And what you don't understand is who you are is where your greatest potential lies. Understand? The reason why we have so many people displaced is because they do not know who they are. If you don't know who you are, then you can't have esteem and dignity, because you can't be proud of what you don't know of.
You think acquiring all these things, having the girls, having the labels,
it's
having
cool.
It's gonna give you an esteem when you are someone.
Boys are even guilty of this. Doesn't make you masculine. I'm just gonna say that. Doesn't make you any more of a man. About knowing who you are and working to maximize your potential as a young man. That's a person I respect. I tell a lot of rich kids, right, who say, Musa, we want to work, we want to be like you. And I'm like, yes, I admire the fact that you want to be like me, right? Don't focus too much on your parents' things. This is for everyone. It's just, these kind of interviews are not just for abantu abangana or who are in uncomfortable positions in their lives, but for everyone. Even the ones that are comfortable now. You're comfortable now, your parents are working, you don't have, but you will hit a point in your life where you'll ask yourself, why are you even here? Why do you even exist? Understand? And you find things like depression. I feel like some depression is caused because of that. It's hard now as a man. You are called a dog, you're called trash, you're called J. When a woman sees you, they see a monster, you understand? And you grow into that thing, you know. It seems as if it doesn't affect boys when people say these things, but it actually does, eh? And boys can enter into a state that if you call me that, I am going to be that. I want to show you that I can be that.
So it doesn't help the problem.
So it doesn't help.
But the sad thing is that also for the females, the reality is that our experience of men is that men are dogs.
Exactly.
Because when you can go to the store and have a different experience. When I go to the store, I know I'm going to be approached. I know I'm going to be catcalled. I know I'm going to have funny interactions with men. And
even to extent, even others, they touch you.
Exactly.
And that's the discipline we need back in our society. Right? The discipline, Yoguti, I'm a man. My duty is to protect Asanda as my sister. You understand? My duty is to make sure that you don't get hurt. Whether I know you, I don't. But for the fact that I have to protect you. No matter well, the way our ancestors used to live, they lived in that way. Women never did hard labor. I'm not talking about after colonization or Western interference with our cultures, but women were reviewed as important figures in the society. I don't care what your textbooks tell you. They held a very high position, understand? In Sintu. Even now, those small elements are still there.
African culture. The woman was the mastermind.
Yeah, the woman was the mastermind.
She was like the head of the household.
True.
It's just the leader that is presented to the outside is the man.
Yeah.
But the mind to the whole operation is the woman.
It's the woman. And I go back to the Bible, right? The Bible says when he creates Eve, he created a helper, right? You cannot be a helper if you don't know anything. So women are naturally smart. And they have capabilities that us guys don't have that are very important. Emotion. But now, emotion can be a good thing and bad thing, you know. It's just that it's important for a guy to be able to differentiate. It's okay, now you need to calm down. I learned from my mom. My mom should, when things are getting a lot, she would cry and then she would pray and then she would come back and it's fine. Understand? So she would tell me, Musa, I'm leaving this thing. I'm like, Ma, don't, please. Understand? And as that supporting figure, she'll come down and she'll be like, oh, okay.
Now we have a clear mind.
You understand? And that's I feel like that's where the problem or the fight between men and women are, because we can't actually accept who the other is.
There's a conflict to beat each other, but we need to work together.
Understand? And that's why I do not want to force or want my wife, as I mentioned earlier, to work, because I don't want her to think that we're in a competition. The truth is, this is the truth of the matter. Women and men who work, most of the time they'll have a competition. She will end up being competitive instead of helping. Understand? Because she's supposed to be a helper. I can give away the world, Asanda, for her just to say, good morning, I would give the world for that. And I would work. I would work Yazini, knowing that I'm going back eKasi to peace. But now you find things like, but it's a topic as weird. I have to clarify the disparity between the rich and the poor.
Oh yes.
Amongst the young people. So that happened the time again. I had to move back to Dobsonville. So I was back. Now I was an older teenager. Two of my closest brothers. Yeah, I would like to call them brothers. So we're living all together. And into ibona I know ekuseni eKasi. Into icabanga, first thing icabanga amagwinya. Yathola. Ikhambane zasemini amakota, for those who don't know. Amakota semini, and then for a typical Kasi guy, a pipe, the way you are so desperate for a pipe, you would even hlanganisa a half flavor. I'm a colored person, but things I'm a half flavor, and that's that's the culture young boys in Soweto are exposed to. Understand? And then you have ungathini anamali mara 15 rand half uzohlanganisa. Understand? And no problem ekhoneni ama-cheap payment ngagezi, and then ngo-4 ngiyogezwa ke, and then ama-cheap asibuyeni futhi. So bloma sikhuluma ngamantombazane, and I feel like that is a culture that we need to change. I mean, just to clarify, being like sing babo.
But the culture is
but the culture is there. You know, that's the culture, and that's the thing. And then uvuke kuseni futhi uthola umalume thabo uphethe ibhiya lapha ekhoneni, uthi ladies uhleba ugrace ngapha sagcoka igama. Yabo. So those are the things you're accustomed to. Whether you like it or not, you will get accustomed to that. And the ability to change is in everyone. But if you choose not to change, you will be what you come from. So you'll be Omal if you don't want to change. But where is change? Change lies in exposure. You'd have different conversations with rich kids, right? Or privileged kids. They want to be lawyers, they want to be accountants, you know. Some even say we want to be businessmen, you know, and you grow up in that type of environment, and then I associate myself with older people, you understand, just to get, we want to business, so you get accustomed to that, and then you find the next door neighbor has a Mercedes Benz, right? And then you'll see a Ferrari passing by, and sometimes my dad would take me to a car dealership, Mercedes, would look at the cars, would look at, and 22 million, and I'd ask myself, kunabantu abathi 2 million, umuntu athenge imoto 2 million. And yazi kuningi Mercedes ne behamba umunye umama umunye umntwana bengena naye crash eBramfish, bekahamba nge-SLK iMercedes, angishayise round one day, angiround isisiganga asana, angibuya ngidrop ekhaya. Yo, that's when I started falling in love with nice cars. So wezoya nobaba iMercedes and look at the cars there, like, no ways, if someone can do this, then why can't I?
Exactly.
Right? But still, that's not where I started working. But the seed in me.
But the craving.
Yeah, the seed in me. The exposure was there. Which, okay, now I know Gucci. I wanted 2 million, so I can work hard and buy it. But unlike Umtana Sekasi, there's a friend of mine, and we're having a discussion because I love impacting people when I speak to them. I hate pointless conversations. I hate them. He's like, I'm like, so what do you want to do? He's like, no, I want to go to varsity. I'm like, yeah, great. And then he changes. It's like, no, it's like, I want to get a government job. I'm like, oh my God. I want to get a government job. Like, but I wasn't too quick to blame him because when I looked at his lifestyle, he never goes out and actually sees the world. You understand? He's never been to Santin, you know. Doesn't know that there is, what is it? 4 ways, you know, he doesn't know that type of life, and that's why he's settled to the typical eKasi society yokuthi isikolo sebenza government uyahola ungena esikweletini, so nebond, so nomfazi, so nabantwana yabona. So now there's a lot, now you can't move, you're stuck. And I asked him, awufuna uphuma la eKasi? He's like, get loads mara. So I felt sad on the inside. I didn't tell him this, but it broke my heart. That's as far as he can think. And what am I doing? Because I have all this inside. I've been on both worlds. God did not choose me to go to the other side to see, for me to stay on the other side and just be comfortable. But I feel he gave me this wisdom that I have now to go back
and pull people out of it.
Right. You ask me who I am. Sometimes I view myself as a revolutionary, you know, a person that's going to make a change in the society, you know. We had lots of great revolutionaries, your Peter Lumumba, your Steve Biko, you know, people at university, students, you know, that were craving for change. And you go and listen to the interviews of Steve Biko, and you hear how politically inclined the society was back then. It was amazing that the youth was capable of saying such things, man. Like, feel like I should have been born in the 70s once. Yes.
No, you put in this time for this very reason.
For this very reason, but I hear that.
Because the youth needs direction, and that's what we're here for, guys.
Yeah, direction.
I think that's my biggest mission. I just wanna, because I think going back to the question of purpose, now, what I realized about myself is I often, and it'll show up with small things, I want to help people see things the way I see them. Because if I can see that you can't see something, I'll do everything in my might to show you the light, to show you that there's another way of thinking. There's another way. That's why this channel is here.
True.
There's another way of doing things. There's another. So I want to take the people that are blinded by about TikTok and doing pointless things to seeing the light and seeing that, if you want change in the way you live, you need to be the one to do it.
Exactly.
Like when you look at teenagers from overseas, because I consume a lot of that, young people younger than me that are making money, others do it online, others start their own businesses. Like if you can go to an LA, there's a coffee shop by every family that has a coffee shop. Lana, it's the mainstream overseas people that come and they put their franchises here.
Exactly. I was Starbucks.
Exactly.
Why it's nothing?
It's like we're blinded by the way we live, and people don't see another way of thinking. They don't see another way of viewing the world.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for, guys.
Yeah.
With that said, I think this video is very long and we must come to an end at some point.
Yeah.
So Musa and I are going to launch a community, to join people that think the way we do and are hungry for the same things that we are hungry for in life. So I'll put the link in the bio and you guys can join and, change. We need people with entrepreneurial spirit, with a need and a desire to change things for the future of our country, for the future of this generation, So yeah, guys, you must join the group, link in the bio. And yeah, man, thank you for spending this time with us.
And then maybe we'll mascots.
Yeah, until the mascots. Yeah, bye guys. Thank you. The scope
I need to
of
start over.
why I'll ask you again.
Ask me again.
Okay. Okay. 1, 2.